Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I am CallMeNakomi and welcome to CallMeNakomi World. Thank you so much for coming back, guys. I really, really appreciate you every single time you stop by for this place for entertainment and sports content. As always, I appreciate you for viewing me here on YouTube. But please don't forget that I have an audio version of the show, CallMeNakomi World podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find me everywhere, guys. Just please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and rate me also on these podcasts. Wherever you want to see more, CallMeNakomi. You know what I mean? Or more CallMeNakomi World and all the things that I offer and I just cover out there in the world that we live in, guys. There's a lot going on, but hopefully I can bring some joy and a couple of laughs to whatever you're doing out there, you know, including to share my unique perspective, you know? Also, before we proceed, I'd like to give a shout out in remembrance to Lou Gossett Jr., who passed away, I believe, on Friday at the age of 87, guys. Rest in power, sir. He is definitely senior to me, and he is definitely someone who I would look up to in that industry or just in general, because he is a journeyman, elder of our world and our society, and he had a lot to give, and he has given a lot. So rest in power, sir. I remember some of your great roles, especially my favorites are, of course, Roots and Diggstown. I could watch Diggstown over and over again. It's one of my favorite movies out there. So, sir, you will be missed. Rest in power. But on to the show today. We are covering Three Body Problem. That's the name of the show. It's a brand new show on Netflix. It is based on the novel by the same name, written by, and please excuse me in pronouncing these names. I'm going to do my best, but at the same time, you know, please bear with me, because I do want to respect and give honor to these cultures that we are covering, but at the same time, I am also human, and I'm doing my best here. So the book, The Three Body Problem, was written by Lou Gossett Jr. I'm going to basically pronounce it that way. Back in 2006, and it's the first book of a 3-book trilogy called The Remembrance of Earth's Past. So I just by that, you know, I kind of wonder where it's going to go. I do plan on reading the books. I actually already downloaded one of the books to my phone, so I'm definitely going to start reading the first one. And the story begins in the past, but it is truly about the future and the survival of the human race. And I could take that from the fact that I ended up watching the entire series. I'm going to go over that a little bit more, but from you know, just from what I've seen, that is pretty much the crux of the show. It begins in the past, but it's pretty much about our future as a human race and what we plan on doing with the rest of the time that we have. The showrunners and executive producers, David Benioff and D.B. Wise. Of course, you guys remember that name if you've been anywhere out in the past 2 decades. They are the showrunners for the Game of Thrones, and also executive producer and showrunner Alexander Wu from True Blood. So these are both guys who come from, all three of these guys are people who came from HBO. So they know big shows. They know how to put on great series that last for a very, very long time. So it has me excited about that. But I'll tell you what, I didn't even know all that when I first started watching the show. I just came across it in an advertisement on social media somewhere like Facebook or something, and I didn't even pay attention to it. I had no clue what it was. So I just kept on moving, you know, and then 10 minutes later, I was on IMDb, as I do about maybe 16 times a day. And for one reason or another, I saw that it was actually trending. And I said, I thought I just saw this a couple seconds ago. So I looked at it and I was like, the title kind of caught me. 3 Body Problem. I was like, 3 Body Problem. And the one sheet pretty much looked like a like something scientific. So I was like, okay, let me go, you know, I'll give it I'll F with it, you know what I'm saying? Let me give it a chance and go read the synopsis. So I went and read the synopsis, and it said, a faithful decision in 1960s China reverberates in the present, where a group of scientists partner with a detective to confront an existential planetary threat. I was just like, okay, sign me up. You got me. You know what I'm saying? Cold War beginnings, groups of scientists working together with a detective. I mean, where's the sign up sheet? I'm right there. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and just sign me up. Recruit me. I'll be there. I'll be there, guys. It was right up my alley, that all those different aspects, history and, and science and detectives. It was just like, come on, it's an investigation, where's the body? I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. And I didn't even see the cast yet. I was like, I pressed play completely blindly. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I just gave it a chance and pressed play, and I didn't stop until the last episode, about the next day. You know what I mean? It wasn't until the last episode that I said, you know what? I want to write about this. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to start reviewing the Three Body Problem show on Netflix for you guys. And I hope that you come and join me on this journey, because it was a very enjoyable journey for me. So, and all I want to do is just share all of my thoughts and this experience with all of my people out here in the world. You know what I mean? I love you guys. I appreciate you for all stopping by. And I just hope you enjoy this episode. As I said before, please, if you haven't done so before, go ahead and like the channel. It definitely will help the channel to grow and to get a lot more people aware that the channel even exists. So I appreciate you guys coming by. And also, please go ahead and leave comments, questions, whatever your thoughts are. If you've watched the show, if you plan on watching the show, or if you just want to just throw oddball theories out there, be an oddball with me. We will nerd out. You know what I mean? I will cipher with you, baby. I will cipher with you. You know what I mean? So I press play just like that. I press play, and we're going to press play right now. But just so you know, I'm going to be giving you a reaction today on episode 1 of season 1 of the Three Body Problem that is on Netflix. As far as spoilers, I'm only going to give spoilers for the first episode of the first season. I'm going to do 1 episode per episode that I have here. I believe there are 8 episodes in the season. So hopefully I'll give you 8 episodes of great content starting today. So if you haven't watched the first episode of the show, please go ahead and stop if you don't want to be spoiled. But sometimes, why don't you go ahead and spoil yourself? You know what I mean? Well, spoil yourself. This, why not? You've earned it, baby. Go ahead and spoil yourself. Anyway, today's episode. It begins back in 1966, Beijing, China, during the Cultural Revolution, where they were cleansing the country of all possible dissidents, including scientists. I mean, who needs those? You know what I mean? Just, keeping people alive since the beginning of time. Yeah, I mean, argue. Anyway, Wenjie, a young physicist, watches as her father is beaten to death on a stage, essentially for not renouncing basic scientific theories and possibilities of God. Grief-stricken, she is taken into custody by the government. You're going to cut right now to present day, London, and we have a cynical yet diligent detective, Detective Dashi. He arrives at the home of a highly renowned physicist who has taken his own life. Cutting out his own eyes, he covered the walls with blood and writing down a countdown on the wall. And there's apparently been other deaths other deaths in the scientific community too. So it's a mystery building there, trying to figure out what's going on. Excuse me. Then we go to the particle accelerator in Oxford, England. My bad, guys. I'm drinking some soda here, so just trying to keep the throat moisturized. Pause. Anyway, we go to a particle accelerator in Oxford, England, where physicists Vera Ye and Saul Durant are shutting down her project. For some reason, all of their experiments are yielding results that are all wrong. And it appears that science is broken. That's basically what they're saying. Nothing seems right. Saul, a 30-something former child prodigy, almost blames himself for not being able to figure it out. He feels he might not make any great contribution to science in spite of people's expectations of him. But Dr. Ie says she still has confidence in him. Then, curiously, she asks if he believes in God. And when he says no, she calmly leaves the lab and jumps into a Cherenkov tank, which is a very, very deep tank inside that they have associated with particle accelerators that kind of measure things. Yeah. Anyway, and she kills herself in a pub. I'm not sure exactly how close, but somewhere in England, in a pub, Jin Chen and another physicist, and Augie Salazar, a scientist working on nanofibers, drown their sorrows in shots, of course, while discussing how physics is gone to shit, pretty much. Jin has been studying the various results from around the world's accelerators experiments. She's been studying various results from accelerators from around the world, and hasn't been able to figure out why this is happening. For months now, she's been doing that. And they're all generating the same type of results that make no sense. Models show particles just spinning out of control like a roller coaster that's fell off the rails. It just kind of makes no sense to either of them, and they're kind of dumbfounded. And as a drunk man murders piano man on the karaoke stage, somewhere Billy Joel is feeling a pain right in his back. Augie starts to see something weird in her vision. It's like a squiggly lines of light that coalesce into a countdown. And it reads 4 days, 9 hours, 17 minutes, 38 seconds, 37. 36. Then Saul calls them both and tells them the bad news about Vera. Detective Da, I'm going to say doctor, because several of these people are doctors, but he is a detective. Detective Da puts a red X over a picture of Dr. Vera on his murder board, alongside pictures of other scientists who are alive or dead, including Saul, Jin, Augie, and 2 other of their known associates, Will Downing, a physics professor, and Jack Rooney, an entrepreneur. Then we jump to Will and Jack in the restroom, freshening up before Vera's funeral. They discuss Will's unrequited love for Jin, and how, especially since she has a boyfriend now, this is probably not the right time to address it. Right. Jin meets her new boyfriend outside. His name is Raj Varma, and he is an officer in the Queen's Navy. And she introduces him to Saul. They're waiting for Augie, and Augie actually is still on a train heading to Oxford, and she's freaking out because the countdown is now constantly in her vision, no matter how. She blinks, she looks in different directions. It's just constantly in her vision. 1 day, 21 hours, 2 minutes, 32 seconds, 31. So it's just like, it's just really freaking her out. And apologies for all the noise. I think some people are around doing some landscaping around, but can't stop the brum rush. Jin is back at the ceremony, and she gives condolences to Vera's mother, who's sitting at the front. And Augie has finally arrived. They sit next to each other, and she said that she's been to a neurologist, but they're clueless also to what is causing the countdown. Then an older gentleman approaches the casket to pay his respects. He turns around and shares a weird look with Vera's mom and takes a seat at the back. After the ceremony, Detective Da is outside taking the surveillance photos of everyone who leaves the building. Specifically, the older gentleman, though, catches his eye. He decides to follow him, and the older man ends up boarding a chopper with the logo Evans Energy on the side. And it takes off. Jin, Augie, Raj, Saul, Will, and Jack are in a pub, doing what you do after a funeral. They're knocking them back, just talking about life and wondering why Vera would have taken her own life, and Jack senses something in the air with Saul and Augie, and just kind of deduces that they've been seeing each other, and maybe that's true, maybe that's not. Looks like they at least have some type of history. That's all I know. Then Augie decides to go outside for a smoke, so she leaves them and goes outside for a smoke, but her lighter is just not lighting. But she gets rescued by a young lady who walks by and, offers to light her a cigarette. So she lights her cigarette and sits down to talk to her. And she says she understands what Augie is going through, and asks how far along is her countdown. That gets Augie's attention immediately, of course. And the woman says, to stop your countdown, you must stop your work. And to prove she knows what she's talking about, as Augie looks at her like she's crazy, She tells Augie to look to the sky tomorrow at midnight, asking if the universe has ever winked at her. And then she's gone, leaving an old cereal box decoder in a box of cigarettes. She's just gone. Jump back to 1969, Mongolia, China. Hundreds of people are felling trees on a mountainside, leaving it completely bare. At the summit of this large mountain is a dish. EA and others are are in a work camp carrying away logs. She stops for a rest and meets a man who asks her if she's considered the consequences of all this destruction. Of course, she's suspicious. This is dangerous talk. But when the dish starts to move, he says, no one knows what goes on up there, but he's heard some strange things have been happening. Then he asks her if she speaks English and pulls out a book to share with her. It's called Silent Spring, and I can only assume that it's The Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. I didn't get to see the author on the book in the show, but it's an influential book from the West about people poisoning the world. He loans the book to her and tells her, though, that she needs to hide it. These two start to spend a lot more time together and become a little closer. But everything seems to be going a little better. And she begins to do things to help in spite of all the destruction, like dropping seeds as she walks along in the camp. And then she begins to find joy and purpose in life again and actually starts to smile until the guards find the book. They question her about it, where it came from, but she doesn't give up, she doesn't give up the guy. So they take her away. The whole time while the guy is standing right there. He just let her take the rap. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, dude, like she doesn't have as much to lose as you do. That's how easy it is. But anyway, I digress. She's locked up in a cold cell for a while, I assume. You know what I mean? Then a female representative of the court comes to talk to her, playing good cop. She tells her, you're lucky you're not as dead as your father is right now, but you still have use to us. And she tells her if she simply signs this paper and watches an online course overnight, she too can become an overnight security guard. No, I'm playing. She says that if she signs it and takes this course, she can get out of jail and go back to work doing exactly what she used to do. And she asks if she could read the document first. Smart girl. Always read the document. I don't care what they say to you. Always read the document. Nothing good has happened when you didn't read the fine print. Plain and simple. That's why I went to business school. And she realizes that they want her to give up information on other scientists seen as enemies of the state. She refuses to sign or to testify. Then the woman, in disgust, the woman takes up an ice cold bucket of water. I'm saying the bucket of water had ice on the top of it. She takes up an ice cold bucket of water and pours it on the girl's head, and then pours whatever's left in the bucket on her bed. I'm like, dang, you know how diabolical that you are? You have to be to even think to be like, you know what? Not only do I want you cold, I don't want you to even sleep on your bed comfortable. Your bed's cold too. I don't want you to have nothing. I'm just like, I just don't think that way. But there's people out there like that. It's diabolical and heartless. Anyway, later, I'm not sure how long later, she seems a little out of it by then. She is transported up to the dish in the truck and is met by two officials or officers at the gate. They have one of her published papers acknowledging her as a scientist, then offer her the dish as her new post, but she can never leave. That's the only thing. For what I assume is a better life, better than what she's been doing for the past, who knows how long, at least a year, or possibly a year, and to satisfy her curiosity, she accepts the position. Then back to present day, London, at the headquarters of the Strategic Intelligence Agency, otherwise known as the Black Palace. That's their headquarter building, is known as the Black Palace. Detective Da gets a call from his boss. He catches him up on an investigation. They caught Augie the night of the funeral on CCTV, and he called the event strange. Mike Evans, the guy who got on the helicopter, is rarely actually seen outside of that day, and they lost his chopper somehow over the Atlantic due to a satellite malfunction. Then the boss asks about another death in Tehran and about a shiny bicycle helmet, what they call a shiny bicycle helmet, which is worn by the deceased in a picture. Which looks like, honestly, a golden VR headset. That's exactly what it looked like to me. I mean, I have a VR headset. I absolutely love using it. So that's exactly what it looked like to me immediately when I saw it. And it looks kind of cool, It looks kind of like it's just like a gold thing that goes around, and it looks heavy as hell, though. I can imagine when I'm usually having my headset on for too long, but I digress. Jin back at is over at Vera's mom's house with Vera's mom, and they're cooking and paying respect in remembrance to Vera. Then they go to Vera's room, and Jin is still trying to figure out why Vera would have taken her own life. Her mother says work has been hard on her lately. When she asks Vera, then she asks if Vera was doing anything strange lately, and she tells her that Vera was actually playing video games. This catches Jin, by surprise, and she asks her to see them. And her mom, Vera's mom, pulls out one of the shiny bicycle helmets. We'll just call it the golden helmet right now. And she tells Jin that she can actually take it, and so she does. And on her way out, Jin sees an old picture of Vera's mom on the wall. And then when we see the picture, we realize that Vera's mom is actually Wenjie from China from back in the 60s. So this is her. Okay, so we flash back again to the 60s on her for her first day on the job, and is in the facility for the first time during a test. She asks if they are testing missiles. But then, so to show her what they are actually doing, they go outside under the dish as a voice is counting down. When they hit 0, they begin a transmission. Thousands of birds in the region take flight immediately and start flying toward the dish. And many crash into the dish, killing themselves, pretty much. She remembered the exact coordinates that they said in the control room, which shows that she has a great memory. And she asks the $1 million question. What was their target? That's the question. Forward to the past. Jin is curious about the games Vera has been playing, and she decides to slip on the golden headset. She is instantly transported to a VR environment that some can only dream of. I mean, she is completely immersed and everything feels real. She, picks up the sand and it feels real. She's dressed in authentic historical Asian garb, and she witnesses a large bright sun rise over a pyramid. And it's just huge. And she starts to retreat from the heat that is just emanating from it. And she stumbles back upon a dried corpse which is sitting under the sand. And then she immediately snatches off the headset. It was just way too real for her. Detective Da. I'll tell you right now, the cast is amazing, guys. The cast is great. Some unknowns and some great knowns. That's all I gotta say. Detective Da wants to get his hand on one of these headsets. Plain and simple. So he starts to focus on a possible origin. And Mike Evans, his rich ass, might know more about it. Odd stuff. He might be in the middle of it. You always follow the money. That's how you investigate. Follow the money first. And look at the boyfriend or the husband. I don't write the rules. It's just the rules. Anyway, the investigator assisting him asks if the countdowns are relevant. And Da tells him anything happening to any scientist is relevant at this point. Point blank, period. Saul and Augie are in a courtyard waiting for the midnight show. And he asks her to repeat again what the weird woman said. Has the universe ever blinked at you? And her countdown is now down to 10 hours, 38 minutes, 1 second, 37 minutes. She also shows him the decoder that was left in the cigarette box. He starts to nerd out as he walks with her and tells her different things about it. But then she starts to try to remind him why they are there, what they are there for. So they go sit down on the steps. Now, cutting back and forth from Saul and Augie to as the clock strikes midnight to Ye back in China. The two officers have her in a room and they're talking. The two officers in charge of the base tells Ye what they are actually doing there with the dish. The project is called Red Coast. Augie and Saul look up at the sky. And the Red Coast officers confirm that it is actually a communication satellite. The sky glows above Augie and Saul. Very, very bright. I mean, it was like somebody just put in some brand new batteries in that thing. You know what I mean? It was bright. And then the sky starts to blink like the connection got bad. It was just in and out, in and out, in and out. Then Da runs to the roof and joins the Onion Knight. Can't make this up. He joins the Onion Knight. You guys will know him from Game of Thrones. I will bring his name up next episode because they didn't exactly mention his name in this one. Anyway, and they run up to the roof, or he runs up to the roof and finds the Onion Knight there and witnesses the blinking sky on his own. Saul realizes the sky is blinking in a code and uses the decoder to decipher it. EA asks the officers to clarify their mission, and Saul realizes that the blinking represents numbers. It's a countdown, and it matches Augie's countdown. And they smash the black. And that's the end of episode 1, guys. It was a great episode. I thought it was an amazing pilot episode for a show. It really got me stuck trying to figure out what's going on, what can make the sky blink and grow in brightness, like they basically pulled out the remote control. It was great. It was intriguing. It made you ask questions about your a whole lot of different things, about the world that was created after the atomic bombs were dropped. It changed everything. Or even since the industrial revolution, the world changed. How we treat the world, how we treat each other, capitalism and the powers that be scratching for more power. The beginning of China's role in the arms race and their possible thoughts outside of the box of how they can get an edge up on other superpowers. What do we do ourselves when up is down and right is a circle? You know what I mean? What do we do if we are going around on that on that roundabout and it has no exits? What's going on? So if we can't count on things we used to count on, what do we do? I also love the Oxford Five. They called them the Oxford Five in the show. It was a great cast, including Detective Da, and the boss. I loved him too. But all of the actors were great. The casting was amazing, and I loved the group dynamics and the chemistry that the Oxford Five had. How they complemented each other. And it was and why are all the scientists dying? That's another huge question. Like, why exactly why is science going crazy? And also, why are scientists dying? It's just a mystery. And we will answer these questions, hopefully, and more as we review the season. So I please beg you to come back for the next episode, guys. But thank you for stopping by. This is CallMeNakomi World, and I am CallMeNakomi, and that was my review of Season 1, Episode 1 of Netflix's 3-Body Problem. I will definitely be back for episode reviews very soon, and I hope that you will come back when that time comes. Please remember to like this video if you haven't done so. Drop a comment and let me know what you thought about the episode, or if you're about to go watch the episode, or if you just basically want to just chill and just hear what I got to say about it. Either way, I don't care. I'm just glad you're here with me. That's all I gotta say. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so before. We're trying to get to 400. I've been, we've been edging, back, edge. I'm trying to get to 400, guys. So go ahead and just basically like the comment, like the video, so other people could get to see it, and subscribe if you haven't done so before. Also, if you think it's interesting, go ahead and share it with your friends. I really appreciate that. And if you're on the podcast, CallMeNakomi World, on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave me a rating. Drop me some stars, or just tell me what you think. I really really appreciate it. You can find me on social media at CallMeNakomi on Instagram and CallMeNakomi with the number 1 on X. And you can also just send me a old-fashioned email if you want to. I am at CallMeNakomi@gmail.com, guys. Remember, please follow me and find me on YouTube or listen on the podcasts. You could consume it in either audio or video form. I'm here for you in whichever way. But until next time, please take care of one another. Stay active and healthy. So important right now, guys. You may need it one day. You may need to run one day. That's all I got to say. And may you please, I pray that you will all find water and shade. Take it easy, y'all.